Sure. Say, we're so excited to have you. You know, you've been in the industry 25 years. You've been, part of a Robert Cromeans Salon for 24 years. You know, you're a Paul Mitchell educator. You started beauty school in high school, and like, look at where you're at now. You're on stages, doing hair shows, a huge part of a Robert Cromeans Salon. So, kind of talk us through what the past 25 years of your journey has looked like.
Good Lord. Well, you sort of said it. I mean, I never imagined, I didn't know you could work for a manufacturer, work in a cool salon. When I went to beauty school at 15, I just knew I wanted to do hair. And I was very fortunate to have the right people around me that kind of pointed me in the direction and helped me navigate my career. So you guys all know Julio. Somebody told me to go work for Julio in New York.
Okay.
And that's pretty cool because I think like, when you're young and you're new, you don't, the possibilities are endless, but you don't really know. You're kind of just like, you take opportunities and it's awesome. But this guy that I worked with saw something in me, and he told me at the place that we were working at, he was like, you do not need to work here. He's like, you need to quit right now, and you need to go down the street, ask for Julio. They're going to hire you. They have an assistant program. They use Paul Mitchell. You're going to love it there. You'll fit right in. It's going to be great for you. You need to go there right now. So I was like, okay, go into the office and tell the guy I was working for. So I'm going to quit. I'm sorry, this isn't for me. But it's just cool, like how influential other people can be on you in a great way. So that's how I found out about Paul Mitchell as a company. And I learned about Robert Cromeans and how Robert ran his salon and things like that. And then, I went to my first hair show with Julio. He took me to the New York IBS show. That was a trip. I didn't know about hair shows. I didn't know what that was. I mean, I'm from Schenectady, New York. I didn't grow up going to hair shows. So yeah, and I got to meet he took us, all the assistants that he took, we all went backstage and we got to meet like Robert and Stephanie and all of Robert's team that was with him. And I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the circus and I want to join. Like, how do I get to be with these people? And I mean, I've just been going ever since. I fell in love with Paul Mitchell as a company. I always told Robert before we were married, I was like, I am dating you, Robert Cromeans, but I am married to Paul Mitchell. I started with them when I was 18, and it's just been the best thing I could have ever or never wished for. I didn't even know. And just being a part of this company has been so spectacular, getting to travel the world, meeting hairdressers in all different countries, and, just it's unbelievable. I'm really grateful for it. And I know like it sounds so long when you say like you've been doing hair for over 25 years, it sounds like, really? Have I though? I still feel so passionate about it, and I'm so new and I'm still learning new things every single day. And I still feel very inclined to give back and share what I've learned. And I like being surrounded with, new hairdressers and new educators. So I don't know. I love this industry. It's been a wild ride. And I met the love of my life and got married.
That's awesome. Congratulations on that. One thing that we hear a lot on the school level, we'll say, is our future professionals want to be on stage. They want to be that star. They want to be that platform artist. What advice would you give for somebody that wants to kind of take that path?
Well, times have certainly changed, haven't they? So I mean, I would say be a star in your salon, be a star in your hometown, be on stage every day when you're with your guest. And of course, documenting it, because, doing it on Instagram and putting these things up on Reels and TikTok and things like that, that's our new stages, and it has been a stage even while we were still able to go and do hair shows. But if you're not doing it in your hometown, if you're not doing it behind the chair with every guest, you can't expect to pop up on stage for 1,000 people and just be fabulous. The reason that Robert's so dynamic is because he does it behind the chair, and he did do it behind the chair. Sometimes, 16 guests a day. And I know that's not the norm now, but it was because he was able to take his personal testimony on stage with him. So the things that you're doing in your salon, or even in school, when you know the least about the beauty industry, document it, put it out there, because even the tiniest little thing that you're doing that's great is great to somebody. So you really have to be that superstar behind the chair and be that superstar in your own hometown. And when things do get back to normal, there are places to go that we will be able to get on stage again and things like that. But regardless of what happened in 2020, if you're not doing it behind the chair, you can certainly not do not think you're going to be able to fake it once you get up on that stage and you have distributors looking at you, salespeople, hairdressers that have either been in the industry for 5 minutes or 50 years and everything in between. They will see you coming from a mile away. So if you're not, you don't have to be doing it for 1,000 years. You just have to be truly doing what you're speaking about and doing it behind the chair in your salon, in your hometown. So I think it doesn't just magically happen overnight. And I think sometimes people think that. So you really have to put the work in.
I love that. There's that Insta famous saying, and it's one of those things that, sometimes people don't realize that one picture took 4,000 shots before it got there. And there's 10 years of practice before that picture ever even made it there.
Yeah. And it took 13 hours to get that person's hair from black to blonde, and 2 days because you had them come back the next day for the photos.
So true. And when we talk about your active role in a Robert Cromeans Salon, and when you're looking to bring on new talent, what are some things that you're looking for when they're coming to you fresh?
When they're coming to me fresh, I am looking for them to know their numbers. We do have a San Diego Paul Mitchell School right down the street from our salon. We're close to the Temecula School. We're even close to Costa Mesa, and we're close to some of the local beauty schools. But as for the Paul Mitchell schools, I know you guys use Millennium and Mevo, so we expect those future professionals to know their numbers. We expect them to have a social media presence. If you don't have a social media presence, I say presence. I'm not saying you have to be Insta famous or have 300,000 followers to come work for us. A presence. I want to see that you're posting your work. I want to see that you're getting better from your very first picture to your 30th picture. I want to see that you have an understanding of that, because that is another way of word of mouth. And that is a way of recruiting guests into the salon. So, I need them to know their numbers. I need them to know their average ticket. I need them to have a passion for making professional recommendations. It's our job and our responsibility as hairdressers to solve our guests' challenges and problems with their hair through either upgrading to color services, treatments, whatever the case may be, but also take home. They need to be able to style their hair when they get home. They need to be able to know what to do in between visits so that their hair looks amazing. So I'm not just looking for somebody that's super passionate and excited, because everybody's passionate and excited when they come to an interview. I'm looking for people that can show me some tangible efforts, and that, I was on the take home team. I had, I sold 1 bottle per guest. If you had an average ticket in beauty school of $40, $50, $60, that's great. I love that, because I know your haircut price is $12. That tells me you've upgraded. That tells me you're going to tell a guest when they tell me my hair is dry, well, because you told me your hair is dry, Sean, let me share with you the 3 types of treatments I'd like to offer you. Should we do that today? So I want to, they need to practice their habits in beauty school and not expect to practice them once they're in our salon. We want to hone those skills. We want to show them how to take the time to get to the next level and how to get there quickly and effectively. But they have everything at their fingertips in beauty school. And I primarily know more about Paul Mitchell, the school, that I know how much is invested in the future professionals and the team of learning leaders and what they have surrounding them and the gifts of knowledge and practice that they get to have. So we have a high expectation in that regard. I don't expect them to be the best hairdresser on earth. I don't expect them to know every highlighting technique or anything like that, but I do expect them to know their numbers. Good, bad, or indifferent, I need them to know their numbers. And I need them to have a social media presence, and that's helpful.
I love that you said, you mentioned it kind of twice about practicing and how important it is to practice and grow yourself. So what are you doing, somebody who's been in the industry 25 years, and like you said, trends are always changing, everything's changing. How do you stay fresh? Especially, we know Robert Cromeans Salon is very fresh, very cutting edge, very, always in line with the trends. So how is it that you and your team, what type of continuing education does that look like?
So we have been doing, virtual Zoom education. We have all of the best education from Paul Mitchell at our fingertips. So we do utilize that, and it's been in a virtual way right now. But for my own personal, when I'm reaching out as an educator for Paul Mitchell, I also have updates. I don't make every video. I'm not featured on every video. So just recently I took a natural texture training. It was in February. It was a 2-day training through Paul Mitchell. It was absolutely incredible. We got a natural texture mannequin head. We went through cutting, styling. There was like 4 different styling techniques. We did 2 different haircuts. There was so much about like the product knowledge, and there was great conversation about dialogue towards natural texture hair. And it was very in the moment of what is happening in the industry right now, and what is happening through Black Lives Matters, and learning and understanding how to speak about different hair textures. So for me, that like really filled my cup as an educator. So I'm very fortunate to be aligned with Paul Mitchell, and I get that education. We had some of the most magnificent educators nationwide sharing and teaching us, and it was great. And they were from many different states, and they were all doing it from the comforts of their home, or if they worked in a school, they got to use the school learning area. So that was really amazing. But I do the same as many. I scroll through Instagram and I'm looking for fabulous techniques, and I'm constantly following people that aren't necessarily in my Paul Mitchell world. I still follow my Paul Mitchell people, but I'm looking at other people that maybe they only have, 500 followers. And I see them do an amazing color technique. And if I can capture it and learn from it in that short time, I'll put it into play the next day with one of my guests. If I can't get it and I want more from them, I DM them and ask them. I ask them questions. I correspond with them. Hey, Sean, oh my gosh, I saw what you did on, really highlighting that one fun piece that's so on trend right now through your hair. Can you tell me exactly what you did and what you used? I didn't see your formula or your process. So I look at that. We also have through our salon, everybody has this technology available to them, but finally made like a little group chat through Instagram. And me and Robert, as we're scrolling and we see fabulous things from other people, we just send it to our team. Hey, check this out. Did you see the way they're doing curtain bangs? Did you see the way they're doing this technique, the way they did that bob? So it's right there at our fingertips. We don't really have to, luckily we don't have to come in for a class and have like a 4-hour class on a day off and take people's time away from their day away from the salon, So we're really trying to, for me, I'm always searching for new ways, better ways, faster ways that we can get the information and absorb it and put it to use right away. So that's what I'm not afraid to try new things. And I feel like on my side, having guests that have been with me for so long, you have those guests that I'm like, oh gosh, I got new Cover Smart color from Paul Mitchell. I'm going to try a new formula on you today. Is that okay? Yeah, that's great. Oh my God, just for me, Cover Smart to cover that. Great, cool. Or I learned this new technique. I'm going to try it. Is that okay? And I'm going to film it too. The guests are very into it. And if you're honest and upfront with them and let them know, oh my gosh, I just learned this new way to make your highlights even better. Nobody's going to say no to that. So I'm kind of forever searching and absorbing as much as I can and feeding my soul, because I don't feel like I get burnt out that way. I feel like there's always something like tantalizing me.
I love that. And it's so true. You started this thing about how much you love this industry. It's so true about this industry that everybody's literally a DM away, regardless of where you are in the realm. You could have 4 million followers or you could have 500. If you ask, this industry is the very first to give back. Like, absolutely, I'll share. Like, there's never like, I'm not sharing this, I want to get to the top. Like, it's just so awesome. And I think about you and Robert, and especially over the past year, you guys were live every day on something, somewhere, some platform, like just giving your knowledge, giving back what you guys were doing. And because there was so much pivoting that had to happen on a daily basis and in the industry. So as you think back of, last year, what would you say is your biggest leadership lesson that you learned?
Well, it was the biggest chance for opportunity for me. I traveled a lot with Paul Mitchell, and I was gone many weeks out of the month. Robert will always say he learned that he was an absent owner. I know that I'm an owner through marriage, like he's always like, this is our salon. But I kind of, when I moved to work for this salon, sort of took ownership of it. Like, I always want the salon to be great. Like, I don't have to like financially own the salon. I'm technically an employee of the salon. So I feel at one with my colleagues, but I definitely think being home and truly working the 4 days of work that are my schedule has been the most helpful. Me being there, me being a powerful example in the salon, because I do work 4 days a week, having a good average ticket, selling take home to my guests, making professional recommendations rather than just telling somebody what to do, like showing. And being the example just by the way that I take care of my guests and treat my guests, and how I think that's the biggest lesson, being there and in person. No one else is going to do it for you to sort of motivate and take your team on that journey. So having Robert and I in the salon more often, being here, being more present with our team, and being on those Zoom calls, having those weekly Zoom update meetings with our team was the best thing ever. So you can only delegate the leadership so much, I guess, is what I think I've come away with.
I love that. And since you've been more active, or I guess you could say more present in your salon and with your team, what are some things that you've seen from your team? Like, how have they risen now that you've been more present?
Well, I don't know that they've risen because of me per se, but I feel like we're more connected. I feel more tied to them. I feel like there's still professional distance, because you need to have that when you're in a leadership role. But I feel more connected to them. I feel there's much more engagement. I shoot them texts individually because we have 2 locations in San Diego. I work in the one downtown and we have one in Pacific Beach. So, I shoot them texts here and there. And sometimes I'll send a specific DM to a specific stylist that is something that I know that will trigger them, and I just feel like there's a lot more connectivity. And even for me, like, my goal is I'd like to combine the 2 salons so that we really are one group and we are one unit. And I think that will be, really the true magic in our salon environment, because I think we, even like when you were saying, what do I do to learn or like keep motivated? I learn a lot from some of the newest stylists, newest team members on our team, the Gen Zs. And I learned so much from them where I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, I need to put that in my database. I got to learn that. So I think it's just mostly the connectivity, excuse me. And then them feeling like they're not bothering me by texting me, asking me for stuff, or, like, oh, she's busy or she's here, there, and everywhere. So as we rev up and do get to start doing more education outside of San Diego, and when we get to travel again, I don't know when that will be, but I'm going to have to really learn how to hone in on that and really create that balance. So I'm not gone too long, but still being able to fill my soul with the education that I like to do. And, traveling the world. I miss my friends in Europe so much, but without neglecting the salon at the same time. So I'm working on finding that balance. But right now I feel like we have I feel like there's a connectivity that we're experiencing and starting from last year. And it's been really wonderful.
That's awesome. So you have 2 locations that are relatively close together?
Yeah, about maybe 15 minutes away driving.
And you said you kind of want to bring them more into like a family of one in 2 different locations. How do you, I know that there's people that are listening to us that have that similar situation, maybe 2 locations, maybe 3, and they really try to make that family feeling. What does that look like for you and your team?
No, I mean, I literally want to condense the salons. I want to get rid of one store and bring everybody into another so that we can literally all work together and be together. But moving forward, like, while we don't have that option at the moment due to like lease arrangements and things like that, we do separate Zoom calls for the teams, but then we also do collective calls where everybody's together so that we can celebrate everyone and do it in front of each of the teams, so that I'm not just celebrating like the top dogs and the ones that are, bringing in the most amount of revenue. I'm also celebrating the new team members, because there's always something to celebrate when we run those, that 200, and we start looking at the habits that even the newest team member has when they're, making future reservations and they're, 60% pre-booked. I'm like, Yahoo, like, this is the best habit you could have, because that's going to guarantee what your books look like in 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 weeks. So we do bring them together for a collective, like, celebration, team vision, making sure that we are all on the same page and moving forward collectively as a team. But then we do separate because the 2 stores do have different needs and a little bit of a different client base. So there are times where we have to talk to each group differently. So divide and conquer at times, but then we got to come together.
And how often are you guys coming together for your meetings?
So we do monthly team meetings, and then we're doing monthly team meetings individually per store, and then bi-monthly for the group meeting.
Awesome.
For 2020, we did the monthly meeting, or no, we did a weekly meeting, excuse me, just because we were, as of today, this is what's happening. So it was very like in the moment of we don't know what we're going to talk about, but by the time Monday rolls around, we will know because we'll have heard something over the weekend. But then we also took the opportunity because we had joined with Inspiring Champions, which is a coaching company they're here in San Diego, and it was amazing. We had joined with them in 2019, and through 2020, we were supposed to have these in-person business meetings talking about like how to make like a super stylist and things like that. And so they were great because they also pivoted. They didn't used to do Zoom calls. So we were able to have our team meetings on Monday. And then every other Wednesday, we had our Inspiring Champions call that we were able, it was 90 minutes, it was interactive, and it was a great way to keep our team on track and not feel like they were forgotten about or that we were not moving forward. And, you know, I think sometimes out of sight, out of mind, we wanted the team to really know, like, no, we are coming back. Like, yes, we're on this pause, but we're not going out of business. Hairdressing is still going to happen, and we need to be ready when we are allowed to open. We want you guys to have all of the material. So let's do this now while we're home. And it was great because our team really participated and they were in it to win it. And it was awesome because I have to be honest, it was a blessing in disguise, because if I had to do it to get everybody on board for like 4 or 5 meetings on their days off after working, you know, the full week and stuff, it would have been much harder for that collaboration. So it was perfect timing for us, and everyone being able to do it from home. It was really valuable and beneficial. So, and it again, back to that connectivity, it kept us all connected. And then we would do our Friday night happy hours, our Zoom quarantini parties.
We love Inspiring Champions. You mentioned a super stylist. What do you think is a well-rounded stylist in your opinion? What would that look like?
Well, right now, my perception has changed a bit. So obviously the totals, the numbers, but it's really a stylist that has a good work balance with their personal life balance. You know, they're not working themselves to death. They're not working overtime. They're not, you know, coming in early, staying late, not having lunch. So it's really that perfect balance between when they're at work, they're very focused on the salon and the guests, and they're doing everything they need to do to make that an ideal, and in our salon, we say an exceptional salon experience, so that they have that average ticket that they want to see and that they need to see and have in their numbers so that their paycheck is what it wants to be. You know, we're not double booking right now. We haven't been since we were able to come back. That was something that was taken from us. And that was, again, another blessing in disguise, because I was the queen of double booking and I was pretty good at multitasking, but now I'm an even better stylist and even better service provider and experience provider to each and every guest. And my guests are spending more money with me. They're referring me more people. Before they weren't referring me people because they thought that I had enough. Yeah. And they didn't want their time slot to be taken away. So that super stylist has that work and personal life balance. They have a great average ticket that is not only suitable for the salon, but suitable for them, for the money they want to make. And it's a complete ideal situation. They're making professional recommendations that are successful. So those guests are buying take home, and not so the salon can make the profit. When the guest buys take home from you as a stylist, that's your retention. That, more than anything, that proves they trust you. And it's so crazy because they trust you with color and with a chemical, and they trust you with sharp scissors. But if they don't trust you enough to make that purchase of shampoo and conditioner, they may still seek another person. But the more they enjoy with you, the more they're going to stay, the more chances are they're going to stay with you. So, and also someone who can be a great mentor. For me in our salon, I want somebody who is the powerful example that is okay to share their knowledge. And, you know, they are, you know, not only are they doing beautiful work with great end results, but it's a lot of stuff all the time. You know, they're setting their day up to win. They're looking at their week, seeing how they can maximize each and every guest in their salon. So there's a lot of things that go into it, I think, to be a super stylist. You know, really managing your day that works great for you, while also being able to take a lunch break, take a wellness and sanitation break to step outside and have some fresh air without a mask on. And so this business is not for the weak.
For sure. You said setting your day up to win. What does that mean? Because I know we all have a vision of we'd love to set our day up to win, but in a busy salon like a Robert Cromeans Salon, what does that mean to you guys?
Well, looking at I'll be honest, I recently started looking at my month as a whole. I do my MA 65 and I check my personal, like, what do I have on the books already for the month? What does that look like? And then I break it down into the week and see where I have spaces to be able to maximize my guest or get another guest in so that I can fill in those blanks. And, my estimated is a certain total, but then there's my goal. So I try to bridge the gap between my goal and my estimated. So the team as well, when they look at their week, they have access to everything on their cell phones. They can look at their week, and as do I, and as does my reservation team and my salon director. My salon director starts reaching out to them before the day of and is saying like, hey, Sean, one of your guests rescheduled Wednesday at 3:00. I'm going to look into your lost guest list, but do you have anybody you can think of that you'd like to put into that slot? So really manifesting what you want to happen and looking and seeing where the opportunity is to either put a guest, maximize the guest that's already there, and looking at what your total is. So if your total is $500, if your goal is $500 a day, look at your schedule. If you have 4 haircuts and those haircuts don't add up to 500, figure out what you can do to make them add up to 500. Do you have time for a mini highlight? Do you have time for a treatment with each and every one of those guests? How can you bridge the gap? And you need to look at that and you need to be proactive.
Perfectly put. And then the last thing that I want to end up with is exceptional experience, because I know that Robert has always talked about that. He's always talked about that. What is an exceptional experience in a Robert Cromeans salon?
Well, you know that the Wash House experience came from Robert. His first salon was called Wash House. So hands down, the Wash House experience is like the sharpest tool we have in our tool bag. So that goes without saying. And especially in this time when, we're still seeing guests that we hadn't seen for a year. And those guests also have not had a facial or a massage or been touched by a professional, so when you start massaging their head, they just melt away. So not skimping on that. The other thing is, again, due to the way things have changed since 2020, some of the tadas that we offered for that exceptional salon experience, we no longer have. And rather than crying about that, we just figured out, well, what are we going to do to make the tada fabulous? So by not double booking, now I have the time to spend with my guests where I'm not racing to another guest. I get to completely and fully think about you, Sean. While you're in my chair, I'm only thinking about you. I'm not worried about the guest that's coming in after you. I'm thinking about you. So while you're processing, I will tell my guests, if are you comfortable here? I'm going to have you stay here. I'll be back in about 5 minutes. I'm going to come back with my iPad and I'm going to look to see for your future reservation. So I'm making all of my future reservations while they're processing. So my guest doesn't have to wait at checkout once they've sat with me for 3 hours already. What I found by doing that is, because time is limited and the time of each hairdresser is so valuable, some of my guests are booking out not only just for 2 and 3 of their next reservations, but they're also booking out for the full year. They feel pretty confident now with the vaccine and things like that, that we're not going to close down again. So they're going for the whole year. And I'm like, okay, let's do this. And that is amazing. I mean, and they love it. They're like, oh, you can do this right now. Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. We also, did everything to be touchless at checkout. So we no longer accept cash for products or services. So we take credit cards upon reserving their reservation. And depending on your guest too, if it's a brand new guest you've never seen before, I don't usually offer express checkout unless they're already like seeing that they love their hair and they're ready to go. But, working with my regular guests, I do offer them express checkout. And what that means is even like while I'm doing their blow dry, I can have my reservationists come over, or while they're processing, if they feel good to go, I can do that express checkout before they even leave. And I've already spoken with them in the beginning when I do their consultation about their take home. I ask them what are you out of, Sean? What are you missing in your take home regime? What are you out of after not seeing me for so long? I get that list from them, and then I can automatically have that waiting and on hold in their checkout through Mevo. And it's pretty amazing. And they love all the efficiencies. And once I have that done, I do sit and talk with them sometimes, unless, I kind of try to pay attention. If they have a book they want to read, I let them read their book. But if they don't have anything and they're just relaxing, I will sit and talk with them through some of their processing time and continue to update with them. I'll pull a chair over so we're eye to eye, to really let them know, like, you have my attention. You have my undivided attention. I'm with you 100% on this journey today. And it's been wonderful because a lot of our guests have been with us for 25 years. Some of our guests, some of the people in my chair have seen Robert when he started as a $25 hair cutter and he used to do his own shampoo. So really have experienced everything through the salon with us. And I think that the exceptional salon experience comes from the individual service provider and really giving that person your time and your energy and your attention. And that's what they want. And it's amazing. We thought all those other bells and whistles were the things that they wanted and needed, but those were the things that we were using to make up for where we were missing. And it's been pretty great to hear their feedback and to see their Yelp reviews and their Google reviews. It's been very rewarding.
I love it. Thank you, Mary. Oh my gosh, this is so good. So powerful. Great question, Sean. And first and foremost, what's it like being married to Robert Cromeans?
Oh my gosh, he's going to love that this question came up because he always asks, how come people should interview you more and ask you what it's like being married to me? Oh my God. Well, I hate to use the word amazing, but we love our relationship together. I love being married to him. He is one of the most positive people I've ever met on the truly most genuine, authentic level. There is nothing you can put in front of him. The house could be on fire and he's going to find a healthy outcome. I'm not kidding you. Like literally, like there is sometimes I'll say, I just have to have this breakdown for 5 minutes and then I'll be positive. And he's like, okay, go ahead. He is so positive. He's just, he sees beauty in everything. He's really wonderful. I'm so lucky to have him in my life. I'm so lucky he picked me. He treats me like a queen. We have a lot of fun together. He's funny, obviously you guys know how he is on stage. He's much more mellow at home. He's very, I don't know if reserved is the right word, but he can sit on this balcony and look out at the ocean for hours. And he's just thinking of stuff and he'll come in and he'll be like, I had an idea. And like, it's the most genius thing you've ever heard of, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm opposite. Like I come out and I do look and I do love it and I appreciate it and I value the view, but I'm like, oh my God, there's 500 other things I need to be doing, where he can just like be so in the moment. And I love that about him. And he's so in the moment with everything he does. So kind of, even like when he's cooking for me, he cooks a lot for me. He does bring me coffee in the morning. I'm super spoiled. I love it. He brings me coffee. He wakes up early and gets up way earlier than me. He'll get up at 5 a.m. He'll go jump on Clubhouse. If you guys have been on Clubhouse, join Robert. He's there every morning between like 5 and 6:30, without a doubt. He'll get in the car, go down to the ocean, even closer, watch the surfers, talk on Clubhouse, and I'll text him when I get up. And then he comes home and brings me coffee, which I love so much because I like to sleep in. But when he's cooking for me, everything is like, he does this with hair shows too. Whether he's performing for like one person or 10,000 people, he still gives it 100%. So even when he like can make me like a breakfast sandwich, it's the best breakfast sandwich like he's ever made. I'm like, how do you do this with everything? He doesn't do anything half-ass. And I just love that about him. So I could go on for hours about how amazing he is. So anyway.
I love that. And I love the fact that he carves out thinking time, because that's just everything, because leaders see more and more before. So and that's definitely Robert. So I love that.
Like, you have so much more responsibility than me, and I don't know how you freaking stop for this time to do it. And it's very impressive, and I try to take from it and learn from it, and I'm just not there yet.
That's awesome. I love it. And I love that you said that we're on pause, but we're not going out of business. When did you figure out, when did that moment happen for you that you're like, you know what, we are not going out of business? Because I'm certain, and I haven't seen the numbers, maybe you have, that a lot of salons have closed down.
No, it is unfortunate. And many salons have closed down. And, I feel for them. I hate that. I don't want salons to go out of business. Like, I want everybody to win, but, I can only share from our perspective. And for us, I guess a lot of it for me when I was, you're blown away when you first get shut down. You're like, oh, it's not 2 weeks. Okay, this is weird. But the guests reaching out and, people talking to you and reaching out and saying like, oh my gosh, I need to get my hair done. What is going on? And then, I'm waiting for you. So when I realized that the guests and the people still wanted us, they still want their hair done, they still needed us, they still wanted us and needed us for their mental well-being and how their look is and all of that. Like, we're so much more than just doing hair to them. That kind of put it in perspective for me. Like, yeah, we might not be able to do it right now, but we're going to be able to continue this. And, you know, going out of business was not an option for us when, like, this was my first experience with feeling like a salon owner with Robert. Like I had told Sean, I always have ownership of the salon because it's the place I chose to work. So I feel like it's always been my responsibility. I think that's just my New York coming out of me, like having that ownership of, you know, what I'm choosing to do. I want it to be successful, so I'm going to contribute to it. But when I realized, like, oh my gosh, we have 40 employees that we're responsible for. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we going to do? Like, we need to work on this. And so, you know, of course, having Robert, he's so visionary, and, you know, it took him a couple days to like, let it all sink in. And then, all right, well, how are we going to make this work? We don't have a choice. Going out of business is not an option. We have these two businesses. There's clients in San Diego that still want to come see us, and we need to make this happen. So that was kind of my realization where it wasn't that people were like, oh, never going there again, not going to get my hair done. You know, although people did let their hair grow out, some colored it at home, some didn't, you know, people were still very excited to come back to us. And so that gave me that hope and that like confirmation, like, it's not over. We are just on a pause, and we're going to do everything we can to participate. Sorry. We're going to do everything we can to participate in helping to slow the spread and things like that, and do everything we can to make it that when we go back to work, we're ready, willing, and able. And our salon is set up with the, you know, the platinum standard of safety protocols for our team and our guests, so that everybody feels comfortable.
Right. Yeah, I love that. It's so true. And I think, you know, as we look at some of the salons that closed down, I think most of the part, Mary, is just the fact that they were like, you know what, I really didn't want this business anyway. And so they're like, you know what, this is a perfect opportunity to bow out, get out of paying rent, you know? So
Yeah,
yeah,
it was. And we had you know, I did say to Robert after the second and third closure, you know, because it wasn't just one for us out here in sunny California. I said, you know, what do we want? What do you want? Because, you know, Robert, I'm like, you don't have to have a salon. Like, you're already so successful. You're the global art and business director for Paul Mitchell. They don't care if you have a salon or not. Like, you've already proved the point of a successful business owner. And I said, well, and he's like, no, I still want to grow hairdressers. I'm still passionate about it. I'm not ready to throw in the towel. And for me, I said, well, I don't want to not work at a Robert Cromeans salon, and I'm not trying to retire. You know, I still want to work at the salon. I still want to work with my team. I want to be there with my team. And so, you know, we had to ask ourselves those questions, you know, are we trying to be done with it or not? And for us, the answer was we weren't done. We're not finished. We still have so much more to do. We can still do better and do more and grow. And so that was like kind of the answer for us.
Yeah. And I'm so glad, because I feel like for us, Sean and I, in order to coach other salon owners, we like to be in the trenches, because we want to have more empathy for people and to really understand, like, what are they really going through? And then we have hot off the press, like, hey, we just went through this challenge and we want to share with you what you can do to grow. So I think that's really huge. You said something really big as a salon leader, and I want you to expand on this, because I think this is part of the challenge, you know, that I'm seeing the salons that we're coaching, Mary. And you said we had to be connected, but still maintain that professional distance. Can you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, well, you know, we want to be connected, and we want our team to know, like, we want to know about them. And, you know, it's not like I don't want to know who their boyfriend, girlfriend, or husband is. We want to know about them and what's important to them and how we can help them grow and things like that. But we don't want to be such good friends with them that there's drama. I don't want to be tied to their drama. I want them to know when they come to work, they're still, you know, you're here to work, you're here to do a job, and your job needs to be focused on each and every guest in the salon, being kind to your coworkers. And we're lucky. We have a great team. They're awesome. Even though we might not all want to go out to dinner together, we still enjoy working with each other. So that part we feel, you know, fortunate for. But you know, you can't get so far into it that you're like they look at you too closely like a friend, where then when you have to do some bullet coaching or redirecting, it's not taken in the correct way. It's either not taken seriously or they're mad about it, because then it seems like, well, you're supposed to be my friend. Like, why, why are you saying this to me? Like, I thought I did a great job, whatever. So you really have to keep professional distance, and you have to keep professional distance from your guests as well. I think, they have so much more access to us via DM, this, that, and the other thing. But I try to not give my phone number to my guests, because I don't want them calling me at all hours and on my days off. I want them to go through the channels that we put up for the salon to use. Call the salon, text the salon, make an online reservation. I don't want to be so connected in that way with the guest. I need to have that professional distance where they, so that when I do have a price increase, it's not like, oh, I thought we were friends. It's like, no, this is business. So yeah, it's hard, because in our industry, we are friendly, and especially with other hairdressers, you're just like, oh my God, it's a different atmosphere than, say, like an office job. And, sometimes you travel with these people, sometimes you're doing, 18-hour photo shoots with these people. So it's hard not to become friends and friendly, but you do have to keep that professional distance so that there is a little bit of boundaries.
Yeah, that's so good. What advice do you give to the salon owners, for instance, that maybe they might have one of their stylists or many stylists coming in and sharing their drama with all of the stylists, so what's your suggestion as far as setting up systems for that? And then also for the salon leader to help curb that?
Yeah, well, you have to nip that in the bud. I
Yeah.
mean, when you hire on, that needs to be a clear statement. There needs to be a conversation about that, and to what degree you mean it, And for us, we have a salon director that we've just started working with. He's been with us now about a year, and he's incredible. He comes with 30 years industry experience, and he's just incredible. And so he's the person who navigates all of that for us for the most part, and that, I think, having somebody in play that can take care of that for you, if you're not great at that, that's important, because he's the one that's going to make that commitment to, maybe writing somebody up. And not that that's what you want to do, but there has to be that follow through. So if having drama in your salon is not something that you allow, you can't let it go without any repercussions, because then people don't take you seriously.
Right.
So kind of your values of your salon, your actions have to meet up with your values. So it's kind of your fault if you let it go untamed, I guess. You have to nip it in the bud. You have to just let them know, like, this isn't acceptable in our salon. When you come in here, you have to leave that drama at the door. I need you focused when you're in here. And if it's a drama that you can't work out through the day, then maybe you need to take a personal day. It can't be acceptable. So there's got to be some non-negotiables, I guess. And we have a list like that is called non-negotiables. One, of course, is our dress agreement, wearing all black, but, just no drama, leave the drama at the door. It's a non-negotiable. So being upfront with what your expectation is on the people that you hire is really, really important, because if you don't let them know that, then you can't expect them to just know. You can't expect or assume people know. I think assumption is a detriment to all of us, because and you can't put your work ethic on other people and assume that that's how they're going to do it. So if it's important to you as an owner and it's part of your values and non-negotiables of your salon, you have to let them know. You have to give them fair warning. Yeah. And they'll make the decision if that's right for them or not.
Yeah, no, this is great advice. So let's pretend the salon owner is listening to this, or salon leader, and they're saying, okay, so you know what? I don't have a list of my non-negotiables. And so talk to them right now how they can develop that list. Because I always say our systems are a list of all of our screw ups, because based on, certain aspects that happen, it's like, oh my gosh, we don't have this in writing. For instance, we didn't realize that we did not train our team what gossip really meant, right? Yeah. And so we were like, no, gossip is not venting. So we actually build a whole page system, Mary, in our salon, and we went over it. And of course, it's part of our system, that's something that we have to keep going over and over and over, because leaders are repeaters, right? And so
Yes.
talk to that salon owner right now, how they can develop that non-negotiable system and what that might look like. And what are some other things that you have on your non-negotiables as well?
Yeah, well, if you're the leader or you have a partner, whatever, I'd start right there. You guys just start writing it. And it can be as long as you want. Like, write down every single thing that you think would be a non-negotiable. Like, it for us, commitment to timekeeping. And that doesn't just mean being on time for your guests. It means coming to the salon 15 minutes early to set yourself up, not rolling in 5 minutes after your guest. So you just write down every single thing that's important for you to keep the salon going and growing and being successful. So for us, it's the commitment to timekeeping, all black dress agreement, wearing Paul Mitchell color professionally in your hair, coming to work with your look already done, like not coming into work with wet hair and then coming to blow it dry unless you're coming in an hour early. What else do we have? Oh, we've just added to our non-negotiable list. And that's the other thing. You can change this list. You can change, alter it. Commitment to education. So, and that education, we provide that education. So anything they want to do outside of that is wonderful, but commitment to the education we provide. You told me when you started to work at the salon, getting ongoing education was important. But when I tell you we have a class on Monday, you tell me you can't make it. That's not a commitment to education. So we've just added having a social media presence is a non-negotiable in our salon. So you don't have to have 300,000 followers, but I do need to see you taking pictures of your guests and posting it on your page. That's important for us. The one we added on. So make your list and then boil it down to something that's digestible for the team. And then if you do have a team salon, for Paul Mitchell and the schools and Paul Mitchell as a whole, people help support what they help to create. So I would say, rather than just going in and busting in on the Monday morning meeting and telling your team like, hey, these are non-negotiables, you have to follow these, share with your team what you're working on and ask for their input, because they may have some things that are important to them that the whole team agrees upon, and you may want to put that into play.
Oh, so good. Yeah. And I love that you're saying that, because it should be a living, breathing document. That's what I always share with our team. In fact, we're developing modules in our salon. So that one's a communication module, one's the salon leaders module. We've got the culture module. That way everything lives in a module, and that we can continue to go over it over and over and over, right? And that accountability. So I love that. I love your non-negotiable list. So the other thing that I want to talk about, as we start to close this out, is hiring. And I would say probably the biggest challenge that we hear over and over and over is our salon owners really struggling with hiring the right people. Right? So what is your hiring plan? Like, what's your specific hiring plan? And I saw that you had a couple items that kind of seemed like your non-negotiables. You were saying that they have to know their numbers, right? They have to know their average ticket. It's so important, and have a presence on social media. So what's your specific hiring plan? And then what are some of the things that you look for besides those two things?
And added to that non-negotiable, they have to be willing to be coached using numbers. That's the other one. Like, it's not like you just start working for us and we don't talk to you again. But we actually have been working on, Robert has more than me, but we're working together on changing our recruitment style too. So we just spoke, we have a social media team company that works for us, and they're amazing, and they've been helping us with our salon pages to be on top of things, posting and all of that stuff, featuring our stylists. Well, we just had a meeting with them last week about making a recruitment page. So we're going to start recruiting through Instagram, and we will do it through Facebook as well, but it's going to primarily be through Instagram, and all things related to what it takes to work at our salon, what we're looking for, what we have to offer. And, we're going to be doing we've already started, our salon director has started making the reservations for the interviews, if you will, but they're digital interviews. It's not coming in, you know what I mean? Yeah. It's not the salon. It's going to be a 10-minute, starts with like a 10-minute phone call, and then doing a digital consultation or digital interview. So we can look at each other face to face. We can have a quick little chat session and see how we're going to move from there before we even invite them into the salon. But the things that we look for are, again, if it is somebody right out of beauty school, then yes, I want to know that you know your numbers. Primarily, the people that come to work for us tend to be from Paul Mitchell, the school, but we accept applications from everywhere. So we have City College here. One of our newest team members, who is a rising star in our company, she is just killing it. She went to City College, so she had no prior knowledge really of Paul Mitchell professional products. And she's amazing. Like, this kid is so good. Like, she's just moving through the elements so quickly, and she's doing all the things we tell her to do, and she's just nailing it. So she's awesome. And the attitude, not a bad attitude, but an attitude of wanting to grow and wanting to move forward. That's so, so important, because we can teach anybody a new highlighting technique or a new cutting technique, how to do those curtain bangs. But somebody like that attitude for gratitude and that servant's heart is very hard to teach somebody. Like, you have to want to serve. We are in a service industry, and we need to dote on our guests and really just pamper them so much. So you really have to have that at your core, So yeah, definitely having a social media presence. I want somebody that has a passion for making those professional recommendations, that I don't want to be a salesperson, because guess what? You're selling yourself all day long. You're selling you're selling your brand. If your guests don't buy into you, you're not going to have a book. You're not going to have a career. You're not going to make any money. So along with selling yourself, you do need to sell professional recommendations. And that can start as soon as when the guest is in the chair for the consultation and they're talking about their dry hair. Well, then I think, Tina, you need a treatment, or you need a super shiny top coat. So that's an upgrade to a demi-clear overlay. So you're selling it. You know what I mean? You're selling solutions to their challenges. And they have to understand that, because you can't just be paid for your passion, I guess. You know what I mean? The guests have to want to come in. You want somebody who's not afraid to ask for a referral. You want somebody that's passionate about making future reservations. I don't want somebody that's going to say, oh yeah, well, I'm scared to tell them they need to come in 4 weeks. Can't be.
Right.
You can't be, because if you're waiting for them to call you, that's never going to happen.
Yeah, so good. I love that. I love the fact that you have exactly what it takes to work at your salon. It's written out, and that you're putting that in Instagram. That's a big takeaway for me to utilize in our companies as well too, because I think most people don't realize, what it takes, right? And so I think you're giving some really, really great examples. So thank you for that.
And they'll make that themselves. Some people will weed themselves out of like, oh, I'd like to work there, but actually I don't want to do social media, or I don't, you know what I mean? I don't, whatever we may not be the right fit. We're not going to be the right fit for everybody. And that's okay. There's plenty of different salons all over. And certainly in San Diego, there's plenty to choose from. There's so many amazing salons here. So
I love that. And I love that about you guys. And I love the fact that, full circle, this is what happened to you, where someone said to you, you need to work with Julio, in New York. And I think that's really huge. So talk to that salon leader right now, because I know we have like a 90-day, trial period in our companies where this is what we're looking for. Let's see if you're the right fit, and vice versa. Right. And do you have something like that as well too? And what would be some of those areas that you would say, you know what, you're not a right fit in our company, something that you see that happens in your company that you're like, we need to have them go next, to another position?
Well, I mean, I think you're right. Like you can pretty much see somebody's behavior pretty quickly, so of course we look at first, how even if they only have one guest a day, say they're brand new, you have that one guest, how do they perform with that one guest? And Robert's a very gracious owner. I feel like he's very patient, he's very gracious, and he's happy if you make 10% shifts. He's not looking for you, if you don't have to score 5 out of 5 every single time, but at least if you tried, you made the effort, even if the guest said no to your take home recommendation, if we know that you brought that product up, you told them what you had, maybe they just didn't need it that day.
Right.
And that's okay. But if we hear, you're just talking about how it was that you went out of state so you could go hang out and be without your mask on, and that's what you're talking about through the whole the whole service with the guests, and you're not focused on the guest, that conversation. So listening to that conversation is important, and we'll redirect probably 3 times before we go for the action. And that's really, again, our salon director's job. So he'll give you that bullet coaching, like, hey, Tina, you did a really beautiful job on Mary's hair. I did notice though, you really didn't teach her how you were styling her hair. I know she asked you to show her, but you were talking about other things. I really need you on your next guest. Let's try to focus on that. You're going to get there a little bit better, whatever that case may be. So, but for us, if you call in sick a lot, and not COVID sick, because obviously that's a different thing, but if there's a lot of calling in and, last minute cancellations for yourself, that's a tough one. That's a hard one for us to swallow. It's a jagged pill for us to swallow. So that one is one where we need to redirect, I guess, and then decide like, well, maybe we're not the right salon for you. And that's okay if we're not, but let's cut this off and let's build a bridge rather than, burn one and leave on good terms, because it's just not going to work for us. We need somebody who's reliable. And I would say of all the times, that's probably the biggest hindrance in our company, is that, a guest is only going to trust you so many times if you call in sick every time they're coming in.
Right.
And
Yeah.
And times is it that you're really sick,
Yeah.
So that one's a tough one for us.
Yeah, that's a big one for us too. Yeah.
But, we have all the stuff downloaded for like, the first write-up, second write-up, and then the third, and then it's finally, we're probably going to have to part ways. But we feel pretty fortunate. It doesn't happen so much. Like, we do keep our team members longer than most, I think. We always say we're a salon you marry, not date. We want to keep you for a long time, and we want to be flexible. We want to move with how you grow and change. And, we have a lot of working mothers in our salon. So they started out, of course, as full-time, and now maybe they work 2 days a week or 3 days a week. And we want to keep them and we want to make it flexible for them. So, we try to be flexible with encouraging other people's flexibility.
Yeah, no, that's incredible. I love that. So what would you say is next for you and Robert, and what's the best way to find you and to get a hold of you?
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, my Instagram, of course. So at Cromeans, that's CUOMOCROMEANS. You can DM me there. I'm pretty good about responding. Robert's is at Robert Cromeans. He does take care of his own social media pages, so everyone's always surprised by that, but he does. He posts his own stuff. He replies to his DMs on his own. That's pretty good. I don't know. I feel like the opportunities are endless and limitless. And for me, just sort of figuring out how we can navigate this year to be one of our best years ever. I'm already celebrating every single day that we're open right now, because last year this time we weren't. So every day I'm, yes, we're still open. Yes, we're still open. So right now, I think what's next for us is just really building our team. We'd really like to triple the size of our team through this year. And we don't only hire brand new future professionals, future professionals that have just graduated. We are hiring, we hire other hairdressers that maybe have worked for themselves and they don't want to work in a booth rent situation anymore. Maybe they want to be part of a team and, and be in a different type of salon atmosphere. And we've never done that before. So that's kind of new for us right now. And of course, we're still educating like crazy with Paul Mitchell. And it's been really fun and exciting to kind of figure out how to master education through Zoom. And so I'm looking forward to hopefully this year doing some hands-in trainings as well, because right now we've done a lot of demo only and things like that, and it's been super exciting. I feel like we're getting that down, but I'm looking forward to doing some hands-in training for other salons and teams and groups and stuff like that, and seeing how I can master that through Zoom, because it's not very easy.
No, I can't even imagine. Wow, Mary, you were absolutely phenomenal. So thank you. It was one of the best interviews we've ever done with someone, with a salon leader. So our course is called Next Level Salon Leadership. Sean and I do a 6-month course. What would be your best advice to salon leaders, how they can go the next level in their career?
Oh, well, they should take your course. I think you always keep, you have to find people that are doing what you want to do. Either they're doing it better, they're doing more of it. And you have to surround yourself by those people and not be shy to ask and find out from them what's working and not working and how you can implement that into what you're doing and to grow from there. So I think, you know, you have to eat the humble pie sometimes and not be shy to reach out and say like, I like what you're doing. You know, I think there's no shame in it. It's like, you have to do it. Reach out. There's so many people. And like Sean said, the professional beauty industry is so giving and we want to share. And, you know, it's a big misconception that we want to hold on to all the information ourselves. We don't. We want to share it. And we want to see other people be successful with the information that we've given to them and also see what they do and how they turn that information into something different that we can learn too. So don't be afraid to get all that information from everybody.
Yeah, so good. I think the 2 words that I've been taking on this year is ask big, you know, from big people too, like yourself. So that's why we called you to interview you and we did that. So I'm so glad that we did. So,
I'm so honored. I was
you're
very
amazing.
The request. I was like, oh, they want me. I was like, that's exciting. Thank you.
Well, we know that you're the brains behind Robert. So
I see them and say I'm the brains and he's the beauty, but it's
that's
not
right.
so smart looking at things. He really does. It opens up my mind.
I know, he blows my mind every time he starts to speak and I just start writing everything down. So we just love Robert.
I live with him and I still take notes. I listen to him, but I text him when I first wake up and then I click on Clubhouse to hear what he's saying. And then I'm like, oh my God, now notes on this that like, you know, I barely have an eyeball open, but it's like, I learned so much. I'm like, he absorbs so much from so many different places. And then he just is so great about sharing it with everybody.
I love that. Yes, Clubhouse is absolutely amazing. Why should everyone be on Clubhouse? There's my last question, because I've been on it and I've been really enjoying it.
Oh my gosh, Clubhouse is incredible. It's kind of funny because it is an old school chat room. You're basically have all of this media at our fingertips, you know, all of this like Zoom and FaceTime and Teams and everything under the sun. And this is like an old fashioned phone call. It's like, it's a group chat. But you should be on it because it's one of the fastest growing networking systems that is out there. I mean, I think this is going to far surpass Instagram. And the cool thing about it is it's not about posting a picture or your technique or anything like that. It is really intelligent conversation for any industry. Mm-hmm. And you can talk to anybody you want to in the world. This morning, I had the opportunity to be on a Clubhouse with Anthony Whitaker in the UK. And it was about how to recruit and hire Gen Z, you know, and it was great because he had on Maddie Conrad. He had on even Reed Cromeans, who is a Gen Z. He's, you know, 51-year-old hairdresser, not only doing hair, but also working at Paul Mitchell, the school in the admissions department. He had on a young lady named Jordana, a salon owner in the UK. There, Steve Cowan jumped on. So you can just, you know, you don't have to leave your house to go and meet these people. I'm not going to be able to go to Chicago and New York and London all in the same day, you know? So it brings so many different people together from all over the world to focus and talk about the same things. And it's all about being more successful in the professional beauty industry. And I think you're crazy if you don't jump on it. Yeah.
It's like a live podcast that you can actually speak to the podcaster. So I love it. Awesome. Mm-hmm. Thank you, Mary. We appreciate you.
Thank you so
much. Mary. It was great.
Hey, thank you, Sean. Thank you, Tina.
Bye, everyone. Thanks for joining us.
Have a great day.